Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Alton. I am so glad that you could join me today. I have a real treat for us today. This is a watch that I've been angling to get my eyes on for some time, and yes, Ivan was so good to send this to me. This is a World War I trench watch made by Vario. Now Vario has a bunch of pretty great watches already on the market, and they've done really well, and I think they're just knocking it out of the park with this other release. I know there's a lot of other videos on this watch, and so if you're interested in purchasing this watch, you probably watched 1 or 5 of those reviews. So what I'm going to do today is just kind of go over the basic specs and just show off the watch. Just enjoy the watch on camera, because I think you probably have a pretty good handle on this. But if this is your first introduction to this watch, I would definitely encourage you to go to vario.sg, that's Vario's website, to find out more about it. So with no further ado, let's look at the watch. So I don't think it's any secret that you don't see a lot of trench watches. And I'm not sure why, because I love the design. They're legible, they're good looking, they have that retro vibe that everybody seems to love in watches these days, but it's really hard to find a good retro trench watch on the market today. Of course, you can always look at the secondary market. You can check out something that's been used, but something vintage going back to World War I is definitely going to be difficult to service and maintain. So this is where Vario enters the fray. Right off the bat, I'm sure you want to know the dimensions. So the dimensions on this watch are 37 millimeters. Lug to lug, we're looking at just under 45 millimeters. The lug width is an 18 millimeters. And you've got a thickness of just under 12 millimeters. And weighing up this watch on the supplied bun strap, it comes in at a very light 68 grams. So right away, I think you can see that this is going to be a very wearable size for most people. 37 millimeters is going to be the sweet spot for many of you. And the lug to lug is a very decent lug to lug, which means it's going to fit on even a thinner wrist. One thing you need to note is that it comes on this fantastic looking bun strap. However, this bun strap is a little on the small side in terms of length. I'll show you that later on my 8-inch wrist. It's an interesting strap though. There's actually a screw on the back. You unscrew it, and pull it off. And when you do that, you're going to find that these lugs are actually wired right in. There are no spring bars on this watch. So if you like to change out your strap a lot, you're going to be investing in a bunch of bun straps or a bunch of NATO straps or single pass NATOs. Speaking of which, this did come with a single pass leather NATO, and I think it looks very good on this watch. Taking a closer look at the dial, this is the black enamel dial with orange lume. It lends a vintage look to the face of the watch. It has a railway track, which is very typical of this style. Large numbers, again in a font and a size very typical of a trench watch. And beautiful cathedral hands. Really digging those hands. Then of course you can see that sub-seconds hand slowly making its way around the circle. All in all, there's not a lot here. Besides Vario printed at the 12, this is basically it. But that's what you're looking for in a trench watch, in any military watch really, unless you're going to be doing calculations with it. You want a watch that you can read at a glance, that tells the time, that isn't fussy, and just gets the job done. And this watch gets the job done. Now looking at the case, you can see that the case is very round. There are not a lot of sharp angles to this watch. Even the lugs curve down gently. It's very elegant in a way. There's a brushed surface along the side, which looks fantastic. It will still catch the light, but it is brushed. And then there's a polished bezel, if you will, here. The brushing and the polishing is done exceptionally well. If we look to the back, You can see that there is a solid case back, screw down, of course, and they offer engraving. So this one here says, "Dad, my forever hero." The ability to have it engraved, I think, is a really nice thing. Of course, it tells us it's sapphire, proudly made in Singapore, 10 Atmos, which is fantastic for a watch like this. You can get this watch wet, no problem, no worries. Except maybe if it's on this leather strap, you might want to switch it out to something on rubber. Of course, stainless steel, your typical material used in a watch of this caliber. The crown is signed with the Vario V. I think it's appropriately sized. It would be a smaller size crown on some watches, but on this watch, it actually is a little bit on the larger side, which is good because you need a good crown to grip. It's down at the 4, so that you have no worries about it digging into your wrist. Although on a watch like this, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Screw down crown, nice pop. Pull it out all the way, and you can change your time. And that's it. There's no date to worry about. It screws down quite nicely, although I find that the bun strap kind of gets in the way a little bit. I had a difficult time winding it or changing the time when it was on my wrist. I always had to take it off. So the crystal on this Vario trench is a double domed sapphire crystal, which means it's going to be rugged, it's going to be tough, and it's going to be legible. It has AR coating on the underside, which is fantastic. And the numbers are all loomed with Swiss loom. So this is fantastic. The originals would have old radium paste, which slowly poisoned the dial painters who pasted it on and needed recoating every decade or so. But of course, we have come a long way since World War I, and the Swiss Superluminova is a fantastic thing if you want to read this watch in the dark. And turning out the studio lights, I thought I'd charge it up a little bit, and let's see how this glows. Well, there you go. I mean, that is pretty cool to look at, and very legible indeed. And here we have the Vario trench on my 8-inch wrist. What you're going to find right away is that this strap just doesn't suit the bigger wristed guys. I mean, I could wear it on the last hole, but it would be nice to have another inch or so of strap. And honestly, if I'm looking at this objectively, it's a little on the small side for me. If it wasn't for the bun strap, it would have very little presence on my wrist. That doesn't mean that this isn't a fantastic watch. It just means I'm a little disappointed because I myself won't be buying one. But most of you out there will fit this watch very, very well. Especially with the bun strap, it gives you a lot more presence than a normal strap. And if that's not what you're looking for, then simply switch it out to a nice single pass NATO. Vario makes some great ones. You can check out Haviston and other companies who make great NATOs and single pass NATOs. Vario does have different versions of this watch. This wasn't one of the ones that I would have picked by looking at pictures online, but after seeing it in person, yeah, it's a fantastic option. They also have brass versions in both this size and 40 millimeters, if that interests you. And they have a medic version as well, which is 40 millimeters and looks absolutely fantastic. So again, I encourage you to check out their website and just play around and see what's there. Underneath the hood of this trench watch is a Miyota 82S5 automatic. It has hand winding, it has hacking as you would desire and expect. It's just a basic workhorse movement. And I have no problem with that movement in this watch. It seems to suit it really well, especially when you consider the price. The price for pre-order right now is $292 US. So just under $300. And I think you are getting a lot here for your $300. Sapphire crystal, AR coating. My Hamiltons don't even ever seem to give me AR coating. Fantastic design, unique case, well finished, enamel dial. I mean, the bun strap, the extra strap. Sometimes, honestly, folks, you have to maybe embellish the positives of a watch, but let me tell you, This is one watch where reviewers are not having to do this, because this is a fantastic package for $292. I think really the only issue for you is going to be, do you like this style, and will it fit the size of watch that you normally enjoy? 37 millimeters in this style might be perfect for your wrist. For me, unfortunately, it's just a little too small. But for most of you, I think this is probably going to be the sweet spot. So I'd like to thank Vario for lending this in. I really appreciate it. You folks are doing amazing work between your straps and your watches. Just love what you're doing. Keep it up. And for all of you who have watched, thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate it if you can like and subscribe. It does help prop up my fragile ego. That's it for me, everyone. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.